Yeah, that is horrifying, and also I feel like it's gonna be foreshadowing, right? Like, well, not foreshadowing, but it's like symbolic imagery, right? The fact that she's viewing her on this like table full of food, and she's now seeing Connie as food instead of as a person. That is such a cool shot, just like the camera going back and forth. You don't see that a lot. Maybe you don't see it a lot on like live action, but that's a really unique shot that I haven't seen utilized often. 13, 10, 45. She's holding on to so much right now. Yeah, she's gonna see the mother in a totally different light now that she knows what happened. Like, she's hiding this so well for a child. Yeah, she's obviously going to have some like PTSD. And he's just like he's total straight face for this. If anyone's gonna give it up, it's gonna be Emma. Yeah, this is really smart because he's aware that if they show any sign of like suspicion or um they don't want to come across as guilty and like give themselves away. Yeah, he's gonna say exactly what I just said. This is gonna be interesting because the mother is probably going to like subtly try and figure out who it was that left the stuffed animal. It's really just like another game of like hide and seek or tag at this point, right? Like they're bringing it full circle. Damn. It is a really interesting concept that I didn't think about in the last episode, that the clothing itself is like packaging, right? Like it's like the white packaging you get like meat. I don't know if anyone has had wild game processed before, but it usually comes in packaged like white paperish kind of packages. And that's I don't know how I did make that connection last episode, but it is very much like just packaging meat. Ugh. Yeah, it is interesting. I wonder why they do the testing, because I'm not entirely sure how good scores would impact the quality of like human flesh. It does make me think they do ship them out based off of the higher scoring kids, because they would be more likely to discover like the truth than the students that are scoring lower. That's kind of my thought process moving forward. Oh, so it's the exact opposite of what I was just saying. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't entirely understand why it's based on their scores either. Yeah, there's obviously something here that we're not being directly told, but they're hinting at, right? Like there's something between, based off of their ages that is. This is so tricky. I love it. Size of their. Oh my gosh, they're not eating their flesh, they're eating their brains. Maybe they are. Maybe they're also eating the flesh, but maybe like the brains are like the how okay. I don't know how that didn't hit me. Yeah. I guess I didn't think about that because we don't even typically eat like the brains of animals, right? Like if we're comparing humans and animals in this universe, right? 2 hours. We don't. Most people don't even like. I would say most people don't eat the brains of animals. Like we don't go to the store and we're like, oh, I would love some ground brain for dinner, right? Like something that we ever think about. So that's an interesting like subversion here. That usually we think of like our physical flesh, right, and not the other part like our brain or like other organs, I guess. And sometimes we do think of organs because that's like a zombie thing, I guess. But that's really interesting that they're going in the brain direction. Also, this show feels very much like a commentary on consumerism a little bit, and like especially like with Americans, like this idea that we're the product, right? We're not the ones consuming, we're just the product. 2 months is a lot of time. But getting all the kids on board is going to be really hard. The thing that is troubling for me a little bit is the fact that they know the like where they know their enclosure, right? Like they know everything about the inside of the enclosure, but they have no idea what the outside is like. I'm getting a little bit of like Maze Runner vibes, right? Of just like only ever knowing this one environment and then getting released into a world that is like totally different than what they're used to. Yeah, I think the tricky thing here, okay, wow, this is a lot to process because they have to consider all of the kids and all of their age ranges. So even if they leave in like in the morning, like providing food and water, especially for like the younger kids, is gonna be such a struggle. And they're gonna have to map out like what's beyond the gate. And I have no idea. It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk mapping the area past the gate because if they get caught, it's more likely that they get shipped out sooner or killed. Yeah, with the wall being so thick, it that's a little concerning because they're not trying to keep the kids out at that point. They're trying to keep something. Wait, yeah, they're not like the wall isn't just meant to keep the kids in. It's obviously meant to keep something out, and what that something is likely aliens or the creatures that we saw before. But I don't know if there's anything else that it would be. Like just how like hefty this wall looks. It definitely seems like it's protecting them more than it's holding them in. Oh, the fact that they were back so late might catch her suspicion a little bit. And the fact that they're traveling together might also be a problem, right? Like the fact that they're together so much might stand out. Like if I was the mom trying to like piece together who left like the bear or the stuffed animal. Ooh. Can she track them? Can she track them? Oh, that throws a wrench in things. That really yeah, how accurate is the tracking? I'm assuming they can track the kids like based off of the number, or maybe they have like an implant. I do not trust that she got tired and fell asleep. She did something. She did something. I know she did something. Yeah, not a scratch on her, so maybe it's like a gas or like the mom can transform or something. She's so sus. Yeah, she can definitely track them somehow. It's gonna be the ultimate game of hide and seek. Oh my gosh. Everything in animation and shows and storytelling serves a purpose, and even the game of like hide and seek, they're gonna end up having to play hide and seek against the mom, right? Am I right? I'm definitely right. Yeah. Damn. I wonder if she knows it's the two of them. Ominous purple lightning. I think the next challenge with that in mind is do you remove everyone's tracking devices, or do you try and steal the like pocket watch slash compass away from her? Because I feel like the second option is a lot more plausible. That's so wow. That is some multi-layer thinking right there. I think that definitely relates to kind of where we are as a society right now, where security and tracking is moved away from like camera visuals and just straight to our phones. That's true. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's. Is that a good comparison? This does bring up another question that just comes to mind for me is where are the kids coming from? Right? If they're being raised to be eaten, someone has to be producing them. um so I'm kind of wondering like if there like are adult farms that are just pumping out babies. If so, wow. That shot is so claustrophobic. She knows. Oh no, no, no. This is not good. Ooh. Oh, are the trackers in their ears? Or is she lying? Can she tell that she's lying? Her eyes are... She has some form of ability to, like, figure out the truth, maybe? It's interesting that she said she'll be sad leaving the house, and now she's sad that Connie is gone. Huh. This makes me wonder if there are multiple, like, enclosures for children. Like, they can't be the only ones. Like, there has to be more than just them, right? I'm trying to link this with, like, existing properties that I already know, and, like, Maze Runner makes me, like, connect these. If there's a shot on her, she's gonna be... Ooh, this is interesting. Are they gonna lie or tell the truth? Because I don't know if she can, like... I don't know if she knows. Oh, this is so tense. She has to know. She definitely knows. If they cut back to her, she knows. Maybe she doesn't, but I have a feel... she's now suspicious of them, I'm assuming. Norman's gonna die at some point, isn't he? I'm gonna be... They're setting up a relationship as, like, 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds, and based off of the first episode, none of them are safe, and if they're setting up Emma to, like, have a thing with Norman, then it's gonna be, at some point, please don't. Yeah, because if everyone has to get over the wall, there's no way that, like, the 6-year-olds are climbing a wall. They'd have to make a ladder. He's just there with them. Yo. I love him already. When you're around your friends or people for a really long period of time, you do develop kind of like a sixth sense for when things feel off with another person. And I think that might just be a testament to like how close a lot of these kids are, especially the ones that are closer in age, just how much time they've spent together and just kind of knowing when something feels off. Because as annoying as that might seem like real life, I think it really is nice when someone knows when you're trying to mask your feelings or when you're trying not to feel like a burden or when you're going through a tough time and when people can actually recognize and see through kind of the like disguise you're putting on um, to look through that and to actually be supportive and actually inquire and be there for you. She's very perceptive. Usually, the mother's gonna catch on so fast. Like she's noticing things already, and she's gonna put the pieces together.
大事に大事に管理された鬼の食料だったってわけか。っていうか、
Ray's
超
taking this
そん
very
なに
well.
信じてくれてるけど。問題はいろ
He's
いろ
probably
あ
gonna
る
point
な。
out all the
まずは
issues.
人数だな。
Yeah.
実現可能なメンバーに絞って。待って。全員で逃げたいんだ。
Yeah, this is the real challenge, right? Like it would be easy, I think, for just a few of them to escape, or just like these three to escape. But the like elevated challenge is getting all of them to escape. It's like increasing the difficulty on a video game. There's 37.
大半が6歳未満だぞ。何？ここを出るだけじゃダメなんだぞ。どういうこと？この外がどうなっているのかわからない。
Ray's really smart. He's pointing out what I said earlier, but the fact of the matter is that like even if they get all 37 kids out of here, they've no idea what the outside of their circumstances are going to look like, right? Like it could appear to be forest, and then it's just roaming with aliens that are bloodthirsty and wanting to kill you, or it could just be like nothing. Like they could be like the last group, like small group of humans. Although again, that seems too Maze Runnery for me. So there could be. My prediction is even if they are to escape and they get outside the walls, what they might end up seeing is that they're just like a pod in a circle of like children farms, and then that's like an incredibly difficult problem to tackle, right? Because then you go from trying to save 37 kids to suddenly potentially hundreds or thousands. That's the second season, right? Like realistically, that would take a whole season to like get through and tackle, and then even then they're only kids. Like how would they go about doing all of that? And would there be like a time jump at some point? Like would they have to come back for kids? Like, and they wouldn't be able to like do that necessarily because the more time you're away, the more kids are just gonna get like eaten or shipped off. I don't know like what the terminology is here.
でも出荷される先がある。農園ってものがあること自体で予想はつくだろ。外に待つのは鬼の社会だ。人間の生きる場所なんて最悪どこにもないんだよ。
Yeah, it's an incredibly valid point.
無理なんだよ。連れて出りゃ。
Realistically, though, it's probably not all humans because again, kids have to come from somewhere. So there are adult, unless they're like bioengineering humans, which doesn't. I don't think that's plausible. So if anything, they have like adult farms where they just make them pump out babies somehow. But also that's kind of explicit, so I don't think they would show that. Or maybe there is like a human society and like the children are kidnapped. That brings up another issue, right? Of like if the kids are always kidnapped, then the human society would just stop having kids, so like demons couldn't do that. So many questions.
全滅は見えてる。置いていく。それが最善だ。やだ。
Yeah, she's very stubborn about
無
that.
理でも私は全員で逃げたい。なんとかしよう。はあ？全滅はやだよ。でも置いてくって選択肢はない。私は折れない。
There is kind of an admirable optimism here that I think every generation to some extent has felt in wanting to be able to picture and build a future society for yourself, for your children, for strangers, for everyone, and not just focusing on yourself for the future. I think at least as of 2021, I think the younger generations are extremely united in a lot of ways that our parents and our grandparents weren't.
決めたから。だからレイが折れてごちゃごちゃ言わずに力貸して。
むちゃくちゃだ。
ねえ、ほんと。でもよかった、元気で。
Right, like they need that optimism.
死ぬぞお前ら二人とも。お前は花から分かってんだろ。
Ray's a little bit of a pessimist.
エマが泣いたんだ。あの夜、最初は怖いから泣いてるんだと思ってた。
Actually, that's probably incorrect. Ray's probably more of a realist, right? Like he's trying to project like what is more possible than trying to plan out something that is likely impossible.
でも違ったんだ。
泥船だぞ。ぶっちゃけ3人だろ。3人なら逃げられる。お前は正しい。自分を恥じるな。
I think the other thing to think about in this situation is that if one person escapes, then you only have to dedicate enough resources to find one person, whereas all 37 of them escape, you have to dedicate a lot more resources to finding and retrieving all of them. Because even if you find them, you have to have the means to bring all of them back. So that's another like interesting scenario.
情で判断をねじれ、いつだって正解を。なのにどうして？
好きだか
That's
ら。好
cute.
きだから。エマには笑っていてほしいんだ。
That's so adorable, but I don't like what that does from a story perspective because it really is setting up something tragic to happen to him.
泥も焼けば器になるでしょ。泥船が必ずしも沈むとは限らないよ。
馬鹿げてる。
The boat made out of mud thing is interesting because I've never heard that phrase before. So I'm a little confused slash wondering what that necessarily means. Like I'm really curious, like if there's symbolism there that I'm missing or if there's something there.
ないだろ。
ほっとけるわけねえだろ。
I think the show again brings up a really interesting commentary on like, do you wait to die or do you try and escape kind of the cards you think you've been dealt to some degree? And so I'm not sure if it's kind of a multitude of commentaries on various things. It kind of brings up an interesting point about kind of staying where you are in life or if you try and venture outside of your comfort zone to expand where you could be. And I think a lot of people, I think primarily young people, including myself, struggle with this a lot, is not knowing, you know, if I should stay where I'm comfortable and where I know things, even though it might not like be the best thing in the long run. Or if you can project where you are in 10 years, you probably aren't doing great in terms of, that's not always a bad thing. But I think in terms of pushing yourself to, whether that's creatively or, you know, with education or personally or however way you want to push yourself, because everyone kind of pushes themselves in different stages of life with different things. You know, some people are pushing for their career, some people are pushing for their creative aspects and pursuits. And so I'm getting a little bit of a feeling, and I'm relating a lot to the idea of, is it better to feel safe but restricted, or more free but with more risk? At the end of the day, we do get one life, and we can sit around and wait to die especially when we get older and we feel like there isn't much left for us to do, or we can get outside of these walls that are sometimes incredibly challenging to get over. But once we get on the other side, we might find that it's totally not what we were expecting. And I think Ray brings up a point where he talks about how they have no idea what the outside of the walls look like. Like it could be a total apocalypse wasteland, but we're also forgetting the potential for the world to be totally fine, or to not be apocalyptic, but instead, you know, sometimes when we get over our walls, we think there's going to be like bad things on the other side of it, but there's always that possibility that things are significantly better outside of the walls, right?
新しい妹キャロルよ。
Why does she look like Emma?
シスタークローネ。ママのお手伝いに来てもらったの。
大人。敵が増えた。
Yikes. This really changes things.
今日からここで一緒に暮らします。どうぞよろしく。
Yeah, Carol looks a little bit. Ooh, okay. So that's the cut that I was waiting for. Was these eyes, right here. Wow. So she definitely knows. She knows something is up, and she might. I don't know if she's looking at like Em and Ray and Norman right now, but she's brought in backup. Uh-oh. Are there after credits? Watch credits? Okay, so there's not after credits. That's interesting. This episode talked about a lot of the valid challenges that the kids are going to face trying to get out of here, and also set up a very massive issue in that the mom can track them, and she's brought backup in, and so suddenly there's two sets of eyes on them, and so I don't know how that's going to play a part into future episodes. Like I don't know if they're gonna like split duties, or if it means like one of them is always gonna be outside. Like I'll be interested to see like what the dynamic is having like the mother and another adult there keeping an eye on them, because it really does feel like she knows that a kid, maybe she doesn't know that like more than one kid saw what happened to Connie, but it's more likely that she knows something is up. It's about what's outside the walls. Like there's so much to kind of contemplate and guess on, and I think the kids are probably doing that just as much as the viewers are. I want to lean in the direction that it's probably like there's more farms with kids, maybe different age groups, right? Like they could be like the youngest age group, and I don't know if there's like multiple sections, right? Like maybe there's like an adult camp and then like a really old camp, but at the same time, like I don't know if they would. There's a lot to think about between this episode and the next one. So I think I'm going to jump right into it so I can keep my brain working and kind of on track here. But if you guys haven't already, I would really appreciate you subscribing, hitting the bell so you can get these episodes. I'm going to try and upload a few times a week. I'd love to upload eventually every day. That would be amazing. But I really need the support to know that you're interested enough for me to do that. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Just no spoilers, please. But until then, I'll see you guys.